There's a box in my garage that I haven't opened in 3 years. Inside are gadgets, subscriptions, receipts, and a few items I was certain would change my life. They didn't. And the worst part? I knew better. I spent decades teaching my kids about money, about value, about thinking before buying, but somehow when I hit my 60s, I made purchases that still make me wince when I think about them. Not because they were expensive, some weren't, but because they robbed me of something far more valuable than money. They stole time, peace of mind, and opportunities I can't get back. If you're in your 60s right now, or approaching them, I want to save you from the same mistakes. Because the truth is, the money we waste in this decade isn't just about dollars. It's about the finite resource we're all suddenly aware of, our remaining years. And what we choose to spend on, or not spend on, shapes the quality of every single day we have left. By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 things I deeply regret buying in my 60s, and more importantly, what I should have invested in instead. These aren't just shopping regrets, they're life lessons that took me too long to learn. Let me start with the first one, and it's going to surprise you. I wasted money on a gym membership I never used. Now, before you think this is just another story about good intentions and broken New Year's resolutions, hear me out. Because the real waste wasn't the $70 a month. It was what that membership represented and what it prevented me from doing. Think about Margaret. She's 71 now. 3 years ago, she signed up for a high-end gym near her home. Beautiful facility. Gleaming machines, juice bar, personal trainers walking around in matching polo shirts. She went twice in 18 months before she finally cancelled. She told herself she was too busy, that the commute was inconvenient, that she'd go next week. But the truth, the one she finally admitted to herself, was simpler and sadder. She felt out of place. The gym was full of younger people, faster people, people who seemed to know exactly what they were doing. And Margaret, she felt like she was in the way. This is the trap I fell into too. I thought investing in my health meant investing in the trappings of fitness, the membership, the gear, the image. But our bodies at 60, at 70, don't need what they needed at 30. We don't need high-impact cardio classes or complicated weight machines. We need consistency. We need movement that feels natural, sustainable, something we'll actually do. What I should have bought instead was simple: a good pair of walking shoes and a set of resistance bands. That's it. 20 minutes of walking every morning has done more for my heart, my joints, and my mental clarity than that expensive gym membership ever could have. The resistance bands, they sit in my living room, no commute, no judgment, just me strengthening the muscles that keep me independent. Here's what happens to our bodies in our 60s that the fitness industry doesn't talk about. We start losing muscle mass at an accelerated rate, about 3 to 8% per decade after 30, and it speeds up after 60. This isn't vanity. This is functionality. Muscle keeps us balanced. It protects our bones. It allows us to lift groceries, play with grandchildren, get up from a chair without assistance. But we don't need a gym to preserve it. We need regular, gentle resistance and daily movement, the kind you can do in your pajamas if you want to. That gym membership? It was a fantasy purchase. I was buying the person I thought I should be, not supporting the person I actually was. The second thing I wasted money on cuts even deeper. I bought cheap furniture that I had to replace within 2 years. Let me tell you about Vincent. He's 68. When he retired and downsized to a smaller home, he needed new furniture. Nothing extravagant, just the basics. A couch, a dining table, a bed frame. He went to one of those big box stores and bought everything in one afternoon. The prices were so good, he couldn't believe it. He felt smart, frugal even. He was saving money for other things. 18 months later, the couch started sagging in the middle. The dining chair legs wobbled. The bed frame creaked every time he turned over at night. He ended up replacing almost everything, and when he calculated what he'd actually spent buying twice, he realized he'd paid more than if he'd bought quality the first time. I did the exact same thing. And here's why this matters so much in our 60s. Our homes aren't just places we live anymore. They're where we spend the majority of our time. We're not commuting to offices. We're not running kids to activities. We're home. And the comfort, the support, the quality of what surrounds us affects our bodies and our mood every single day. That cheap mattress I bought, it hurt my back. I woke up stiff and sore. My days started with discomfort, and that colored everything else. That flimsy recliner, it didn't support my lower back, so I avoided sitting in it, which meant I spent less time reading, something I love. What I should have bought was one good piece at a time, a quality mattress that supports aging spines, a solid chair with proper lumbar support, furniture that would last the rest of my life, not furniture that would end up on the curb in 2 years. Our bodies are changing in ways we feel but don't always understand. Our discs compress, our joints stiffen. We need furniture that works with these changes, not against them. A good mattress isn't a luxury at 60, it's healthcare. A supportive chair isn't indulgence, it's injury prevention. I learned this the expensive way. Twice the cost, twice the frustration, and years of unnecessary discomfort. Does this resonate with you? Have you ever bought something cheap only to realize it cost you more in the long run? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Now, the third mistake is one I see everywhere, and it fills me with a particular kind of regret. I wasted money on subscriptions I forgot I had. This one's insidious because it's not a single purchase. It's a slow bleed, $10 here, $15 there. Streaming services, magazine subscriptions, apps I downloaded once and never opened again. At one point, I sat down and actually added them up. I was spending over $200 a month on subscriptions. $200, that's $2,400 a year on things I wasn't even using. Consider Ellen. She's 73. When her husband passed away 2 years ago, she started going through their finances. She found subscriptions to services she didn't even recognize. A meal kit delivery they'd tried once, 3 different streaming platforms, a cloud storage service for photos they'd never uploaded. Some of these had been running for years. She calculated they'd spent over $15,000 on subscriptions they barely touched. $15,000 that could have been trips, experiences, memories. Here's what happens psychologically as we age. And companies know this. We become creatures of habit. We set things up and forget them. We don't have the energy or sometimes the technical knowledge to cancel. And these companies count on that. They make signing up easy and canceling deliberately difficult. They're betting on our inertia. But there's something else at play. In our 60s, we're often sold on convenience. We're told that these subscriptions make life easier, and some do. But most just add clutter, digital and mental. Every service we're paying for is something else to remember, something else to manage, something else taking up space in our minds. What I should have done, what I finally did do, was conduct a ruthless subscription audit. I went through every single recurring charge and asked myself, have I used this in the last month? Does it genuinely add value to my life? Would I miss it if it was gone? I cancelled 70% of them, and you know what? I haven't missed a single one. That money now goes into what I call my experience fund. It's for things I'll remember. Dinner with old friends, a weekend at the coast, a donation to a cause I believe in. Time becomes precious in our 60s, and these forgotten subscriptions, they represent wasted potential. Every dollar automatically debited is a dollar that could have bought something meaningful. This brings me to the fourth thing, and it's painful to admit. I wasted money on medical treatments I didn't research. Let me be very careful here. I'm not talking about necessary medical care. I'm talking about the procedures, supplements and treatments that promise to turn back time, that prey on our fear of aging, that cost thousands and deliver nothing but disappointment. Think about Harold. He's 69. 3 years ago, he spent $8,000 on a series of injections that were supposed to boost his energy and vitality. The clinic had a beautiful website, testimonials, before and after photos. He felt tired, slower than he used to be, and he wanted to feel young again. The treatments did nothing, absolutely nothing. He later discovered the clinic had been investigated for false advertising. His $8,000 was gone, and he felt more tired than before, carrying the weight of that regret. I fell for different versions of this, high-priced supplements that promised to improve memory, a device that was supposed to reduce inflammation. None of it was backed by solid science. All of it was marketed brilliantly to people my age, people who are desperate to maintain their health and willing to pay for hope. Here's the biological truth about aging, that no expensive treatment can circumvent. Our bodies slow down, our cells don't regenerate as quickly, our organs don't function with the same efficiency. This is normal, this is natural, and most importantly, this isn't a disease that needs curing. What I should have invested in was preventive care from actual medical professionals, annual checkups, screenings, dental care, vision care, a good relationship with a doctor who knows my history and can guide me toward evidence-based treatments. These aren't sexy, they don't promise miracles, but they work. There's a grief that comes with aging, a loss of who we used to be physically, and companies exploit that grief. They sell us miracle cures because we want to believe we can buy back our youth. We can't. But we can invest in maintaining the health we have, in treating our bodies with respect and science, not wishful thinking and empty promises. If you've ever felt tempted by one of these too-good-to-be-true treatments, you're not alone. Let me know in the comments. The fifth and final thing I wasted money on is perhaps the most heartbreaking. I bought things for other people that they didn't want or need. Sarah is 65. She has 3 adult children and 6 grandchildren. Every birthday, every holiday, she spent hundreds of dollars on gifts. Elaborate toys for the grandkids, expensive gadgets for her children. She wanted to be generous. She wanted to show love. But here's what she discovered. Most of the toys ended up in donation bins within months. The gadgets sat unused. Her children had everything they needed. What they wanted, what they actually treasured, was her time. I did this too. I bought and bought, thinking generosity was measured in dollars. I wanted to feel useful. I wanted to feel needed. And spending money on others was how I expressed that. But what I should have given, what would have meant infinitely more, was my presence, my time, my attention, a weekend helping my daughter reorganize her garage, an afternoon teaching my grandson how to fish, a long phone call with an old friend who was going through a hard time. Our 60s teach us a hard lesson about love. We can't buy it. We can't purchase relevance. The people who matter to us don't want our money. They want us. They want our stories, our wisdom, our company. I think about all those gifts I bought, gifts that have been forgotten, and compare them to the memories I could have created instead. A weekend trip together, a cooking class with my daughter, a simple walk in the park with my grandchildren, where I actually listened to them instead of distracting them with a new toy. There's a shift that happens when we stop spending and start giving ourselves. We become more present, more available, more real. And the relationships deepen in ways that no purchase ever could. What I've learned, painfully and slowly, is that waste in our 60s isn't just about money. It's about misplaced values. It's about buying solutions to problems that can't be solved by consuming. It's about confusing spending with living. The gym membership, the cheap furniture, the forgotten subscriptions, the medical scams, the unwanted gifts. Every single one of these mistakes came from the same root. I was trying to buy my way into the life I wanted instead of building it with intention, with presence, with thoughtful choices. If I could go back, if I could whisper advice to my 60-year-old self, I'd say this: spend less. Invest more. Not in things, but in quality. Quality shoes that let you walk every day. quality furniture that supports your changing body, quality healthcare from real professionals, quality time with the people you love. Because here's the truth that took me too long to learn. Our 60s are not the beginning of decline, they're the beginning of clarity. We finally know what matters. We've lived long enough to distinguish between what's essential and what's just noise. And if we're brave enough to act on that knowledge, to stop wasting resources on the noise and invest in the essential, these can be the richest years of our lives. Not rich in possessions, rich in peace, rich in presence, rich in purpose. That box in my garage? I'm going to donate it this weekend. Every item in there represents a lesson learned, and maybe the most valuable thing I've bought in my 60s is this wisdom, that I don't need to keep buying to keep living well. You don't either. If this spoke to you, if you've made similar mistakes or learned similar lessons, I want you to know you're not alone. We're all figuring this out together. And maybe that's the real gift of this decade, the humility to admit when we were wrong and the courage to choose differently going forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, the best investment you can make is the one that gives you more life, not just more things.